is a fight for freedom, old top.
I'll do it. For America.
Move now to the president's top re-election strategist, David Axelrod. Great to have you back with us again. And David, you just heard
George.
The speaker there, right there. What's the answer to that question? What if Bibi Netanyahu comes to the president and says, I can't wait?
Well, George, let's first stipulate that there is no difference between the United States and Israel on the issue of whether Iran should get a nuclear weapon. And the president made that very clear again in the interview that you cited. And he has backed that up by bringing the entire world together over the last few years with the most withering economic sanctions that have ever been administered against any country. So there is no difference between in the objective here. They're going to sit down and they're going to talk through the tactics involved. But no one should doubt the president's resolve, not just because of the security of Israel, but because of the security of the United States of America. It is important that Iran not get a nuclear weapon.
A lot of Republicans think this could be a winning political issue for them. I was struck by an article written this week in foreignpolicy.com by Karl Rove and Ed Gillespie, both strategists for former President George W. Bush, where they say that the president is strikingly vulnerable on foreign policy. They go on to say his approach to Israel must be presented as similarly weak and untrustworthy. The Republican candidate must make clear the existential threat to Israel from a nuclear-armed Iran, not only because it will lead to a better policy, but also because it will reduce the president's support among his key voting bloc in the critical battleground states of Florida, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Your response?
Well, all I can tell you is that Shimon Peres, the president of Israel, was interviewed a couple of nights ago. It said there's never been closer security cooperation. Ehud Barak, the defense minister of Israel, has said the same. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that the security assistance that we've given to Israel is unprecedented. I think they are better sources on this than Mr. Rove. And I think as to the American people's attitude toward the president as a commander-in-chief and on national security issues, I think the polls reflect the reality, which is that he has been a very strong leader in this regard. And if you don't believe that, ask the remnants of al-Qaeda who are on the run. I think it's an absurd notion, but if that's how they want to spend their time, I welcome them to it.
You just heard Newt Gingrich there. He said the president was wrong to apologize for the burning of those Qurans.
Well, I think you made the important point. The commanders on the ground had a different idea. You know, the thing about not having any responsibilities is that you can say irresponsible things, and the speaker avails himself of that opportunity all the time. But the reality is that the president has in his hands the fate of all those service people over there, and that's foremost in his mind. And the commanders on the ground felt that a high-level apology was warranted and necessary for the security of those troops, and the president acted on their recommendation.
How about gas prices? There's some forecast that it could go as high as $5 a gallon by this summer. You heard the speaker there. He talked about he wants Secretary Stephen Chu to be fired. In the past, Secretary Chu has said that America should have European-level gas prices. And the speaker referenced this testimony of Chu this week where he was asked whether or not the goal of U.S. policy was lower gas prices. Here's what he said.
But is the overall goal to get our price?
No, the overall goal is to decrease our dependency on oil, to build and strengthen our economy, and to decrease our dependency on oil.
Is the Secretary right? Are lower gas prices not the president's goal?
Well, first of all, I think your questioner earlier to Speaker Gingrich raised an important point. Oil is traded on a global market, so there's our dependence on oil makes it very difficult to control our energy costs. And that's why, yes, we need to drill for more oil. Yes, we need to drill for more natural gas. We're at an 8-year high in terms of domestic oil production. We're at unprecedented levels in terms of natural gas. We're doubling renewable energy. And perhaps most important, the president, for the first time in 30 years, implemented fuel efficiency standards that, when fully implemented, will save 2.2 million barrels of oil a day. That's how we're going to control this problem.
But how about the question, are lower gas prices the goal of the president?
Well, look, we always want lower gas prices because that's good for our economy. The question is whether it's realistic to say, as the speaker did, that there's some magic fairy dust that you can sprinkle and get $2.50 gas. The American people know that's not the case. We've been dealing with this for some time. 6 months before the president took office, gas was at $4.10 a gallon. The reason that it was lower when he took office was because we had a worldwide recession. That's not a strategy for lower gas prices that we want to follow. follow.
Finally, this controversy that Rush Limbaugh sparked this week. You heard the speaker earlier, Speaker Boehner, thought that Rush Limbaugh's words were inappropriate, but he also thought it was inappropriate for the president to jump in the way he did and for Democrats to fundraise off this issue. Your response?
I think what Rush Limbaugh said about that young woman was not only vile and degrading to her, but to women across the country. And I think the president did the right thing by calling her. The other thing about the Limbaugh story that I think is important is that it was predicated on a lie, and the lie was that somehow she was asking that taxpayers pay for contraception. The policy is that in basic insurance policies, contraceptive services, birth control should be included, and almost all women in America at some point in their lives use that service. So that needs to be cleared up too. Even in his sort of quasi-apology last night, Mr. Limbaugh continued that falsehood, and it needs to be challenged.
David Axelrod, thanks very much.
All right, good to be with you.